You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter, our first episode of 2016, and we have our full contingent here with us, except for Chris, who's not here because he's off fighting for the freedom of an alien race on Jupiter, we'll say, this week. And we don't have Leonor because he's just way too cool for us now, but we certainly have Mr. Harry Hall.
I'm not too cool to join the show.
No, and I've never been accused of being too cool for anything. So this week we make a perfect team this week. Happy New Year, Harry.
Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, actually I forgot about that. It's the new year.
It's the new year. I saw you busted out the Ollie Ballin on January 1st.
Yes, that's a tradition.
Yeah.
It's where actually the donut that is well known in North American circles is a descendant of the oliebol, which is a Dutch pastry which is made with raisins, and it's delicious. It's terrible for any kind of health plan, but it's delicious.
Mm-hmm. It's the precursor for resolutions, because you eat enough Ollie Ballin on January 1st, and by January 2nd, you're going to say, "Oh, I'm never going to do that again."
Yeah, and that combined with a rather nice white bubbly wine that I finished all on my own contributed to me doing dry January. This is apparently a British thing. Then a couple of years ago, people started saying, let's not do alcohol in the month of January at all, just to start the year off. And it seems to have a lot of health benefits, like losing weight, and you tend to drink less in the rest of the year. So I'm full on board. After that debauchery, I'm now actually on the wagon for a month.
Right on. You know, that's actually funny. My dad has done dry January for as long as I can actually remember. So
so is he older?
He's a hipster. So
yeah,
there you go. He was doing it before it was cool.
Yeah,
and we did our Ollie Ballin on January 1st, and it was fantastic. And you know what? It was Christmas holidays, and I had such fantastic plans. I was going to play everything under the sun, and I absolutely didn't. I had I think a quick game of, I played Civ 5. I played a really quick game of that. I actually got into Rocket League.
That's so good.
I had so much fun. And you know, who had even more fun, my son actually got into it. My 4-year-old son decided he wanted to grab the controller, and all I had to do was put it into free play mode, and he was mesmerized. And it was just so much fun to see, because none of my kids actually have ever really had the same video game passion that I have. And this is the first time that I've ever actually seen that zoned out, like, I have to play this until my eyes bleed. So that was really cool. And he called it the race car game. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. We played Rocket League together, and that was good. And other than that, just a whole lot of time in Guild Wars 2. I'm becoming a junior fractal expert. I've decided I'm going to call it now, because I'm really good at all the fractals up to about fractal level 13 or 14.
Right.
And there's 100 fractal levels for people counting at home. And yeah, I've actually found that's replaced. Like, I used to do all the daily events in Guild Wars 2. Like, you go and you mine in a certain area, and you do events in another zone and that kind of thing. That really got dull for me after a while, but fractals have actually turned out to be kind of a nice, challenging thing. I can do it in about 15 minutes to get the daily reward done. The daily reward is actually worth something. You get some significant currency that you can actually buy good gear with and everything like that. So I'm on board. I'm a fractal fan.
It's just fun. You just hop in and have a dungeon experience that isn't frustratingly long.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and some of them are crazy fast. Like there's a couple instances of them that if you get in, even with just a random pug that maybe only has one or two people that know what they're doing, you can still blow through it in under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've seen several. I've done a couple of the. I was on a binge of the fractals for a while, and it's just and they're well done, and they have little stories, and the voiceover is cool from the Asura that's basically telling you why you're doing these fractals, and it's just a nice little package.
So yeah, so that was my holiday gaming experience. How about yourself, Harry? What did you get into?
I actually did go on a binge, but if I would list everything I played in the holidays, I would have a list of at least 20 games long. Nice. So I'm yeah, it was a lot of, actually, there was this moment. I'm a freelancer. That means that I'm usually not free to have free time. And this is the thing between Christmas and New Year is about the only time of the year that there's absolutely nothing to do. Even if you have deadlines, all the offices are closed. People are just not answering their phone calls, at least not when they're sober. So there's no point in trying to work. So I had a lot of time, but I will focus on 3. I've played Rise of the Tomb Raider a lot, which is an awesome game, Xbox One and 360 exclusive. I think this week or next week is going to be on the PC because they're releasing it on January. Okay. So it's console exclusive to the Xbox family. And it's just a great game. I was a fan of Tomb Raider since the reboot in 2013. And it's the new version, Rise of the Tomb Raider, just takes everything they did in the first one and make it look like it was a prototype, which is a thing I like in a sequel. Everything is fleshed out. Everything all the systems of crafting and using your weapons and the explorations are just taken to 11. Great game. Absolutely great. The Steam sale happened. And the Steam sale is a thing that I hate the Steam sale because I don't trust myself. I have my PayPal account hooked up to Steam, which means I have no filter for a purchase. It's just buy the button and have the game. And I did a couple of small purchases, but there was one I've been staring down the barrel of for a long time, which is Galactic Civilization 3.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted the game because I like 4X games and I like space games, and this is a 4X game in space. But it was half price, so $50 going to $25, which is just too much for an impulse buy. You know, it kind of hurts if you do that. You don't feel like you actually got a deal if you going through a list of $2 games. But I did it anyway, and I played it, and it is. Thank God, it's a good game. I'm so happy with it.
Did you find the Steam sale was just a little bit less compelling this year than in previous go rounds? Well,
partly that's because they de-gamified it. The fall sale was the first one they did that. They removed the 8-hour windows for certain deals to pop up. They don't have the dailies. They don't have all those special flash sales. Everything is, the prices are down and they will not go down any further than they are at that point. So the upside is it's more leisurely. You don't have to worry about missing a sale. But then there is no reason to get up in the morning and check what else is now for $2.
Well, and that's exactly how it went for me too, because I usually get really excited for the Steam sales. It is a game. It's fun to see. Like I feel like when I get up at 8:00 in the morning to check and see check right at 10:00 when the Steam sale rolls over to see what's new and on sale, I feel like I've accomplished something, even though there's no scarcity and it doesn't matter that I'm first in line or anything like that. It still felt new and fun and a challenge and an adventure. And this time it was just everything. You knew exactly what the sale was for the entire 2 weeks, and it might as well have been a 3-day sale in my mind for all that I was in. I bought Rocket League on there, but I'd also planned on that. And I didn't really buy anything else because nothing leapt out at me. And I think I probably would have had more impulse purchases if they had the old style.
Yeah. But they're experimenting with this. I kind of feel like they've missed something with this because it was more fun the old way. But anyway, sorry.
I was just going to say, I wonder what the pressure for that was. Like, if that's something that was a publisher pressure thing for them to change, or if they're just looking to shake up the model and see what happens. Or I'm wondering where the inspiration for that came from.
Maybe there were so many people who devs that wanted to put their games in the flash sale or whatever that it became a big fight or something more political, and they wanted. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Galactic Civilizations, the upside is it's a great 4X game. It's obviously a sequel to Galactic Civilizations 3. Mm-hmm. It's very familiar for people who played traditional Civilizations. There's no relation in production, by the way. It's a different company who does this. Mm-hmm. But you exploit planets, you build fleets. There is a internal ship designing system. So if you want your ships to look like Star Trek or Star Wars, you can actually do that. Because they have a very intuitive construction system to design the way your space race looks, which is very cool. Mm-hmm. And the game there are some very clever bits in it. For example, you can have a huge galaxy with hundreds and hundreds of stars, and that doesn't matter at the beginning because you will have a certain range that you can see and that your ships can reach. So you're starting out in a certain region of the galaxy and you get to know that. And there are other races there, and it feels really like you are in your own region. And then when in the mid game, the game opens up and you get to farther places, you learn about other it never feels overwhelming. You really have the time. You are almost forced to completely exploit and explore the bit where you are. And also they did a lot of things in the tech tree, so nobody is building a huge, massive fleet to wipe you out immediately. There are so many things that just make it fun to just build your empire. Mm-hmm. So I'm having a lot of fun with that.
If you had to do a side-by-side Beyond Earth or Galactic Civ 3, what do you think? Comparable?
No, well, the big difference, I've had other people ask me, like, oh, it's like Beyond Earth. No, it's not. Beyond Earth is really one planet, and you're exploiting that. You're discovering the hexes there. This is in space, so you don't have cities, or you don't. Planets kind of have the purpose of a city in Civ or in Beyond Earth, but mm-hmm. the difference is you never know what you're going to get. I mean, you discover a planet, some are not habitable, or you need to terraform them, or you have different and there are fixed points. You know, if you're building a city in Civ, you put it down wherever, and that's just not the case. So you're very much tied to the way the map is filled in. Scale is bigger. You have these massive pieces of space with anomalies and stuff, and it's a very different feel. The mechanics are similar, but it feels much more like a top-down view of a civilization rather than micromanaging your cities on a colonized planet. So even though they are similar, I would give Gal Civ, if I had to choose another game next to just regular Civ, Gal Civ is more fun than Beyond Earth. And another game I've been playing is Elite Dangerous. Spend a lot of time in that, and I'm having the time of my life with that. And it's so much better than launch. Even though I was quite enamored with it at launch, they've added so much, and it's not just the planetary landing. It's just everything feels polished. Mm-hmm. Doing missions or doing trading or doing bounty hunting, it just feels. It's taken the place of Eve for me, because when I discovered Eve, I thought, this is Elite Online, and it really isn't. I've seen interviews with David Braben way before he got into the Elite Dangerous thing, saying Eve is a good game, it's fun, people are having fun. Obviously, no problem with that, but they're missing the point of what Elite actually was. And it's good to feel the way I felt when I played the game for the first time. There are a lot of community and story things going on in the game right now, and a lot of people are missing out on that, because if there's one downside to Elite Dangerous, it's not communicating its own internal story very well, because there is one.
It's very, very subtle, and when you can appreciate that kind of thing, I think that's such a brilliant way to deliver your story, is in those little bits and nuggets that you just discover either by accident or just kind of on the aside, or that you actually have to put two disparate events and make the connection yourself. And that's something that Elite's done. It's more subtle than I think almost anything I've played in a long time. But yes, I appreciate that. It is a good thing.
Well, it's so subtle that the devs are actually kind of finding out that they're too subtle, because they are now dropping hints on the forum. They used to drop subtle hints, because the main story, the main mystery right now is there are some strange unknown artifacts, they're called in game, and they look decidedly alien, and they send out Morse code and all kinds of garbled signals, and people discover them, and it's like an ARG, an alternate reality game within the game. Everybody's kind of figuring out what's happening here. There are theories about there's this alien race in the game, traditionally called the Targoids, which are an insectoid race, and people are obviously like, the Targoids finally making their appearance in the game. So that's the thing, but people aren't really getting anywhere with the puzzle. So there was an actual forum post saying, guys, if you want to see more of this, you might go look in a certain nebula out there. And that wasn't clear enough. They say the nebula with the 7 sisters in them, which is the Pleiades nebula, for people who are in astronomy. But it's almost like it's just too on the. It's like, okay, I've hidden something somewhere in the room. You might want to look under the pillow of the couch. No, the second pillow. No, pull that one. I'll get it for you. Okay, here, it's over here.
It's like an Easter egg hunt with 4-year-olds.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
It's like the Easter egg hunt started as kind of adult rated, and then it slowly dropped to teen, and then it slowly dropped to preteen. And
well, if we're going to take that analogy, I'm looking at two parents looking at their kids trying to find the damn eggs, not finding anything, and the desperation grows in the parents. Like, oh my god! And the kids are starting to cry. We can't find it, Daddy. Like. And that's basically it. So they've actually now said, go look over there. And there were some hints about that cluster before, because apparently those and I love this. I love this stuff. This is because those unknown artifacts. They scan ships and then pointed in the direction of a certain star. So. It's like sending a signal out there. There is something over there. So people were kind of aware. And recently, with the latest patch, there was this community event a couple of months ago about building a new space station out in the Pleiades, where that's very far from the habitable or the human inhabited space, and people were asked to contribute by running cargo to a certain place to build a new space station. The station is now up in the exact location, like 2 hops over from where this supposed anomaly is sending their stuff to. So it's this huge space opera, sci-fi contact type plot, and I'm just loving it. I just hopped over to the system, and I'm not finding anything, obviously, because I'm not going to be the guy who's going to make contact with aliens. That's just not going to happen.
On purpose, or just being a pessimist?
Pessimist. Yeah. It's just, this is one of those things that go. You remember Curiosity, the game from Peter Molyneux?
Vaguely. Okay.
This was this game where you had to tap on blocks on your smartphone, and the blocks would disappear. And there was this huge thing made of blocks, and you had to dig into the core. And if you found the core, there would be, and Peter Molyneux said, there would be a surprise in there that would change your life forever. So there's not Peter Molyneux's typical low key. So
understated, subtle storytelling, just like Elite.
Yeah, just no hype whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So people were tapping away in that thing and kind of getting frustrated with it, and nothing was really happening. But people were kind of, the internet. I mean, give them something to bite into, and people will. So thousands of people were tapping away. Mm-hmm. And there was this one guy who said, "Hey, what is this game?" Downloads it on his phone, taps on 2 blocks, and gets to the core.
Oh.
and then the drama started. You didn't get this. Was a big story because the prize was Peter Molyneux appeared in the game and saying there was this other kind of god game that he was working on. And the winner of Curiosity would get a share of the profits of that god game and be the ultimate ruler in the game. And that all went south. It was terrible.
Mm. Yeah, that was Goddess, if I remember correctly.
Exactly, yeah.
The god game.
So, but
that's another one that completely. I remember Goddess. Speaking of Peter Molyneux, we're just going to go completely off the rails here. Obviously. He gave the keynote at PAX in 2014, I believe it was, and his whole keynote was about Goddess, and like even at that time, it had enough hype that it was basically taking over the Prime speech at a Prime gaming show, and it barely made it out of Steam Greenlight. I don't know that it even made a dent on the gaming landscape after that PAX.
Exactly. So, anyway. but the tension came from actually, I'm not going to be the guy who finds the alien civilization in Elite. Somebody will just buy the game tomorrow, fly in, and just bump into the Targoid fleet, and not know, and we'll just think, oh, is this part of the game? Not knowing. And I hate that guy.
Yeah. And already. The Thargoids will have Peter Molyneux's face painted on all their ships. And
now that would be something. Actually, I wouldn't put it past them.
That would be a thing, wouldn't it? So anyway, speaking of things, let's carry on and talk about some news, shall we?
Yes, let's.
So kicking off the news, we had a little event happen this week. It didn't catch a lot of notice, and it certainly didn't incite gallons and gallons of internet rage pouring all over the place. Oculus has finally put up the Rift for pre-order. So we got all kinds of questions answered this week. We found out what's going to be in the Oculus bundle. We found out a rough delivery date of probably sometime this year, sort of. So we're actually right exactly where we were this time last year, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so it landed, and here we are. Harry, did you jump on this magnificent opportunity to get into the ground floor of virtual reality hardware?
This was horrible. I'm sorry. This was my first disappointment of 2016. I was actually that guy looking at this countdown on the side of Oculus.com when the pre-order started, and I was actually sending screenshots to my friends. Oh my God, it's almost there! It's 2 hours to go. I was walking to the supermarket, having the countdown on my smartphone, knowing that an hour is an hour. It's not going to go faster just because I'm out of the house. So I'm sitting there waiting for the moment to buy the thing, and the thing pops up, and it's freaking expensive. It's not only the first shock was it was $599 US dollars, which was a huge leap from what we'll get to that. But first, my experience. This was the first thing. A friend of mine and I were like, "Will we do this? Are we going to do this?" Friend of mine had a little bit more cash to spend than I, and he said, "I'm going to do it." And he's trying to buy it, and the thing the site is crunched because it's wrecked. Everybody's trying to buy the damn thing.
Well, they were trying to buy it. They were trying to refresh the page to make the correct price show up.
Yeah. And finally he gets through and he gets to the euro price, which is not $599. It's 699 euros. Mm-hmm. Add another 50 euros for shipping, and we're getting at 750 euros, which is, I think, $1,200 Canadian. Mm-hmm. Or actually $800 or $900 US dollars for. So we're almost paying twice the price. And I saw this price pop up, and I was like, I actually put it in my shopping basket. This was how much of a Stockholm syndrome I was in. I put it in the basket, and I got to the point that I had to type in my credit card details, and then I was I'm not. Not only is it that I had to add at least another 1,200 euros to upgrade my PC, because I have an Alienware laptop from 2012, mm-hmm. which used to be a beast of a machine, and still can run most modern games at least medium to high resolution, or at least settings, but mm-hmm. not VR. Mm-hmm. So I'm staring down the barrel of a 2,000 euro investment for this. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
I'm there with you. I had a very similar experience. It popped up. I was at work, and the event occurred, and myself and a few other coworkers who were primed for this just basically saw it in our cart. It came out to the end price before all the taxes and everything like that in Canada was going to be $915 Canadian, and which, to be fair, is a little bit political and Canadian dollar value and blah blah blah, whatever. I couldn't do that because same thing. My video card is a couple generations behind what they recommend as the minimum spec. My processor is a couple generations behind what they consider the minimum spec. So I'm looking at hundreds of dollars to get my PC up to what they consider the minimum.
Yeah. Plus
another, basically $1,000. It will be $1,000 after all the taxes are applied. To get the Oculus, and I looked at that and I thought, why? I can't justify putting down $2,000 today or $1,500 today just so that I can be one of the first people out the door with this. This is what we've been railing against on MMO Reporter. Don't pre-order. This is the poster child for don't pre-order. There's nothing here at that price and no benefit to get it, especially at that price. And you know what? And the sad thing is, if it was $150 cheaper, if it was $450 US, we'd probably be having a completely different discussion.
Yeah, I was hoping, but I knew in my heart it wasn't going to be $350. Mm-hmm. I knew that was not going to happen. But if that was the price, I would have ordered 5. No, I would have just ordered 1. But I would have just this no-brainer. I would sort out the PC later. Just have this thing in my house, just having it there and just fiddling with it on lower specs until I finally got the new PC. No problem. Mm-hmm. $450, I would have done it. Yeah, I was thinking $450, $499 would be a good ballpark for a launch thing. And then this, I'm really disappointed. And there have been the backlash, which we'll come to, is mm-hmm. quite justified in this case, because the promise was that he actually said, Palmer Luckey actually said on Twitter that literally, if this thing is going to be $600, this was before the launch. He said we're aiming at $300 to $400, and if this thing is going to be $600, it's not worth doing it, because if you're making something too expensive, it doesn't matter how good it is, people are not going to buy it, and it will be die on its. And that was a literal quote from the founder of the company. So he did a huge 180 on the price.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to be fair, I'd be stunned if he did. I'm sure this is heavily influenced by the new Facebook overlords and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so okay, so we've landed on a $500 price. Just for context here, the $500 gets you your $600 US gets you your Oculus Rift CV1, which is the public finished version.
Consumer version 1.
Consumer version. It gets you a receiver. It gets you like the receiver for the Rift. It gets you the Xbox controller, and it adds a couple of games in there as well, including Eve Valkyrie and Lucky's Tale, which Lucky's Tale was the platformer that's been commonly demoed along with the old Oculus Rift demo versions that have been out for probably the last year and a half or so. So that's the bundle. And once you get outside the Oculus Rift there, all of those things, I mean, they showed the pictures of it, and the box is very nice, and it's got nice, it looked kind of styrofoamy cutouts for every piece. It looked like one of those suitcases that you'd lock up and that would normally contain $100 million in cash or something like that. But no, it just contained the Oculus Rift. But so that's essentially what you're getting, and everything added in there is essentially looks like a throwaway. I mean, Eve Valkyrie, I don't want to call it a throwaway, but really we're talking about a space shooter on rails here. Lucky's Tale is a platformer that nobody's ever heard of outside of the context of Oculus Rift demos. So yeah, the entire price is on the Oculus Rift. So that's what you're buying. And yeah, like you said, the backlash has been huge. If you looked at the Oculus Rift subreddit, this is the precise MMO reporter research that we do around here. Yeah. I looked at all the posts that were prior to the pre-order drop deadline and all the posts after, and I'd say at least 9 out of 10 posts were like, this price is crap. How could you make this price? This price is terrible. The entire message, at least in the subreddit, and when you get into a lot of the forums and blog posts and everything like that, the entire message was how much the Rift costs. It's not that the Rift is available. It's not what's bundled with the Rift. It's not what games are going to be out for the Rift. It was all about price. And I'm really trying to kind of come back from this is a ridiculous price. This is the only storyline worth talking about here, that $600 is not necessarily the end of the world for something that could potentially change the scape of gaming and what gamers have been dreaming about for the last 25 years. But it is unfortunate if it's taken over the narrative. That's exactly what happened. And I don't think it would have taken over the narrative even if it was $100 less, it wouldn't have taken over the narrative. We'd be talking about when it's coming out and what games are available instead of how much it costs right now. So
I do think there are some. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
I do think I'm imagining there was a discussion internally that went two ways. I think because the too long didn't read it explanation is we wanted to make the best. We, as in Oculus, wanted to make the best virtual reality headset possible. That meant a lot of custom parts, 2 screens rather than 1, all kinds of technical reasons to make this a Rolls Royce of VR experience, a really the best possible thing they could make with the technology they had available, which meant a lot of things, because the reason the Oculus used to be cheap, the DK2 was relatively cheap for $450, was because it was all off the shelf, literally off the shelf hardware. It's like smartphone screen, 3D printed housing. It's all like there are websites explaining how you can build your own Oculus-like headset. If you invest a couple of $100, you build it. They went to the cutting edge. And I think the discussion was Oculus can either bring out something a couple of steps above the DK2 headset, which would be a cheaper alternative, would be in the $400 ballpark. We would launch with that, and then next year we would come out with this consumer version 2, which would be a lot better at a reasonable price as well. Mm-hmm. So you would have 2 versions, kind of like the iPad 1 and the iPad 2. iPad 1 was actually abandoned so very quickly after the second generation came out, because it was just way underpowered compared to what came after it. Mm-hmm. So that would have been one option. So one underpowered piece of hardware as cheap as possible, and then the actual one a year later. And then it would have divided the market so quickly, and software would have run well on one and not on the other. And you have all those kinds of things, and you try to establish a standard. And that's what they've done. they build something that is incredibly well made, will be $600 now, but will be $300 next year with the same technology.
Mhm.
And I think that's the choice they took.
Yeah. And they clearly, they're absolutely trying to create a premium experience with this, as opposed to a basically they were looking at either broadening the tech demo of the DK. DK2 was the model, if I remember right. Either broadening the demo status of that or releasing a grade A premium product. And I think when they looked out and they saw that the HTC Vive is coming out, they saw that Sony's in the game and that kind of thing, they probably made the decision that, you know what, we're not going to just try to melt together with what these guys are doing. We're going to make the best thing that's out there, and we're going to try to make it appealing. And, there's nothing that can be appealing if it's not too expensive. It's the Apple theory of marketing. If you make it too cheap, people aren't going to want it, or they're not going to see the premium value in it, I should say.
But it's also a matter of scale, because I'm willing to bet that next year it will be half price.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the price will settle at around between $250 and $300 at a certain point. That will be the price of an Oculus. And the next generation will be slightly better, but not much better. Just little things, and then it will get smaller and smaller. I think we'll settle on half what we're paying right now. This is a typical early adopter price, and I do think the biggest problem they have is the management of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was, I think, if they would have said from the get go, we're looking at something that will be at start maybe $1,000 or $800,
mm-hmm.
the people would have been happy with that lower price then, because nobody expected VR to be dirt cheap until they started selling it for $450.
Yeah.
And promising it.
And that's the thing. Even at this really high price right now, from my own personal perspective, I'm still going to plan on getting one of these. I won't pre-order it. This isn't a slam dunk for me. But you know what? By the end of 2016, I can see the resolution already forming in my mind here that I'm going to upgrade my gaming system, and any upgrades I do are going to be above the minimum line for the Oculus Rift. And I'm going to start squirreling pennies away, and I'm going to see what killer games become available for the Rift after it comes out. And I can see myself getting one. Like, this is not a nail in the coffin. I'm not throwing my arms up and saying, screw this, I'm out. But this is also, but it took me right out of the space of I need to have this on day one. That's how excited I am.
Yeah, and day one was a moving target, right? Because the first pre-orders went for March, and my friend was hammering the refresh button and got in, I think 15 minutes or 20 minutes after the site went up, and he is now looking at May for delivery. And anyone who's now entering into the fray will get it in June 1st delivery. So day one is also something that's you have to give them credit for saying we're not going to charge your credit card until we ship. So at least something you can, at least if you have buyer's remorse. Yeah. But by the way, you made a couple of great points about. Well, the main point is there isn't really that much to do with the thing right now.
Yeah. Well, Eve Valkyrie, for example, it's only going into alpha on January 18th. Like, this game is not done. It's not even close to done.
But it is good.
These people who are hoping to get their Oculus Rift in March are going to get. Is Eve Valkyrie going to even be done like by then? Can you go through a full alpha and a beta and have a finished, polished game for a brand new platform that's never been done before in 2 months?
Sure. Look at Star Citizen.
Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that? So yeah, like, this is not this is a great. It's going to be fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm really excited to watch and see how this plays out, but I have no motivation to be ground floor right now.
No, well, my motivation is a business perspective. I'm a journalist. I want to get my hands on that thing as quickly as possible, because I want to see what makes it tick, and I want to be able to review the games that come out for it. So, but that's kind of a different headspace. I would actually be able to use this as a business expense, but still, it's too much.
Yeah, and seeing as how you still have to justify it to your boss, that's
Well, I'm my own boss, so
exactly.
well, actually, the person I have to justify it to is my girlfriend, which is always
Well,
a much stronger force to be reckoned with.
I was going to say when's Valentine's Day?
I'm not gonna. Well, oh wait, I'll give her the Oculus Rift.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna use it. So okay, thank you, honey.
Yeah.
It's like Homer Simpson giving Marge a bowling ball with Homer written on it.
Oh, everything comes back to the Simpsons.
In the end, yeah.
So
the good Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
The non-widescreen Simpsons. I'm actually, if I flip over the TV and I see the Simpsons and it's widescreen, I don't even watch it anymore because it stopped being good once they went widescreen.
You know, and I actually, and again, okay, so now we're completely going off the rails, but I had this discussion with my brother-in-law over Christmas, and we were both big Simpsons fans back in the, back when the century turned and that kind of thing.
Golden age.
And it's completely fallen off. I don't know a single person who actually still tunes in and watches The Simpsons on a regular basis anymore.
And I don't know why they keep going. Well, I do know why they keep going. I've read articles about why they keep going. It's kind of had to do with syndication and all kind of business stuff. But from an entertainment point of view, this is not the show I want to watch anymore.
It had its moment, and it was an amazing cultural. Anyway,
yeah, different topic. But Oculus Rift, too damn expensive.
Yeah, and that's the narrative, and hopefully the narrative changes.
I'm just to wrap this up. I'm now very curious about Sony's PlayStation VR. 5 not so much, because the 5 is probably going to be as expensive, if not more expensive, because it has this sensor technology tacked onto it. And as I've heard, HTC, the maker, is kind of in hot water business-wise. Just it's not doing well. So they won't be able to sell this thing at cost or lower. They have to make a profit on it. So I'm not betting on that. But the PlayStation VR, are they going to, if that thing, you've seen that it has an external box with a graphics processor in it to help it render at 120 frames per second. This is not going to be cheaper than the Rift, is it? And if we're going to pay $600, $700, $800 for a PlayStation peripheral, that's not going to be mainstream.
You can't double the cost of the PlayStation to add a peripheral. I can't see that flying. What I can see, though, like, again, the opportunity is there, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. The Vive or Sony could jump in there, and if they released at $400 US instead of 600, I wonder if they take over the narrative all of a sudden, or if they're able to steal. Because Oculus has really ruled this roost for, well, since it was even conceived, since it was kickstarted, basically. Yeah. So there's never been any question that it's been all about whether Oculus does well or Oculus does not. It was not ever going to be if Sony knocked Oculus off the pedestal or if HTC caught up to Oculus or anything like that. It was all about what Oculus did. So now they've put themselves out there, and I almost feel like there's a chance, there's a slim window that somebody could sneak into that gap that they've left with their communication issues and jump in and say, "Oh, wow, that's so expensive. Ours is only $400."
Have you noticed how quiet Sony was at CES?
Yeah,
they haven't made a peep on VR. They didn't say anything. They knew very well that they had to keep their mouth shut. This is poker. This is high stakes poker. They have to keep everything close to their chest, wait what Oculus is doing, and in the coming weeks they're going to reveal their price and date. And I would be actually, if they're not going to be undercutting Oculus, I would be very shocked.
Mm-hmm. Even at a loss, I can see them taking the same tack with VR as they do with the console, with sell the first run at a loss and then make it up as manufacturing cost efficiency catches up.
Well, this is the one thing that people don't generally understand about the console business. Sony doesn't only make money on the consoles, they make money on every game sold. All the games that aren't made by Sony but run on the PlayStation 4, Sony takes a cut. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why they're able to sell their hardware at cost or below cost. And I'm very much hoping that VR will be also work on the same model, and they'll be able to sell those things at cost or lower. Mm-hmm. So, and I think Oculus is in a tight spot there because they can't do that. Oculus won't get a cut of any VR game that's out there. So they don't have the luxury of doing that. But this is not the Oculus Reporter, but God, I want a VR, damn it. I want it now.
All right. So while you dream of VR, let's dream a little bit about Divergence Online, and let's talk about MMOs for a second. Oh wait, no, we're not. We're going to talk about drama around Divergence Online.
Well, Divergence Online is an MMO, and what I understand of it, it's kind of a Star Wars Galaxy clone without the blatant Star Wars assets, but it's still very much like Star Wars Galaxies. And it was a Indiegogo campaign that didn't kind of work out, but they still managed to fund the thing. And they went through a little bit of drama with Valve to get to early access, which they got to now.
Mm-hmm.
And
what they were is they were a success. They were a not quite successful Indiegogo, but they were a successful Kickstarter. So they actually went through 2 crowdfunding things.
Exactly.
So, and yeah.
Well, yeah, and then this happened. The Virgins Online is made by a company called Stained Glass Llama, and Ethan Gassner is the owner of he's one of the top guys from the company, and he kind of went off on a rant. Because apparently a lot of people were basically bothering their support team and him for free keys to this buy-to-play game. Because this is a game you just buy. It's 25% off on Steam right now. It's as our prediction show said, buy-to-play is the new hotness. So it's a buy-to-play game, Star Wars Galaxy alike, and kind of generating a lot of buzz. And people are just hounding this guy for free keys. And he just went apeshit crazy on them. Shall I read the quote, because it's a juicy one?
Oh, please.
We'll let Chris or whoever handle the bleeping, because I'm just going to read it as is. I'm quoting here Ethan Gassner. The gaming Yelp reviewer bullshit has got to stop. We get way too many requests every single day from people offering to give us a good review on Steam in exchange for free game keys. Any request made to Stained Glass Llama for the intention of getting free keys will be summarily ignored. Any repeat request, threats, or offers from so-called reputable reviewers, quoted, streamers, whomever, offering a favorable review in exchange for free stuff will go in a nice little list that I'm building up of sources you trust for reviews which offered to give me a blanket good one in exchange for free stuff to be dispensed to your own community if and when I feel like it, assholes. If everyone who has asked for a free key in the last 2 weeks had contributed to our Indiegogo, not only would it have not failed, but the game would be substantially more complete right now. So our loyalty and willingness to do favors extends entirely to those who actually helped us get to where we are, both in the past, present, and future. You buy the game is we give substantial shits about your well-being and will aspire to do everything in our power to reward your generosity. Those are our people, not the legions of wannabe PewDiePies who feel 1,100 subscribers make you an authority on anything. So they're basically saying, if you are actually trying to wrangle a free key out of us and in exchange for good publicity, we will show the world that you're trying to blackmail us. That's basically what he's saying.
You know, and I wonder if he's actually doing that. How big of a drama fest would it be if he actually published a list and names and emails calling out people who actually wind up being significant or something like that? I feel like there's just like delicious.
I hope he does it.
Schadenfreude going on here potentially.
But I think the thing is, I think he's very much onto something here. And I genuinely wish he actually did follow through on this. Because I don't know if you heard of this little drama called Gamergate that happened to pop up.
Oh, there was a thing. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into the entire, but there are some people in those Gamergate forums who claim to say they are about ethics and journalism, and they say we're just going to listen to YouTubers and not to the regular press because we can't trust them anymore. Mm. It's YouTube channels and fan sites who are, and I've talked to YouTubers, and many of them are, by the way, nice people. It's not that they're bad, but they don't work to the same ethical standards as a professional journalist does. And I've heard YouTubers say to me, without even realizing what they're saying, like one guy said to me, I'm playing this game, I'm streaming it, or I'm recording it for YouTube. And whenever the game bugs out, I just edit it out because I don't want the publisher to get too upset about that. Maybe I won't get the next game they push out then. So I'm saying, but you're actually saying you don't want to upset the publisher because you want to get the next free game. Yeah, I don't see anything that's wrong with that. Well, you are their PR spokesperson then. Mm-hmm. And I think, and this is the other way around. If a blogger or a YouTuber says, I will give you a good review if you give me a free copy, that is so unethical. That is cheating your viewers. That is cheating everybody who trusts your opinion on the game. So there is so much wrong in that circle of enthusiast press, let's call it, that should be cleaned up. And this would clean it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That said, I feel like there's a flip side to this argument too, because which is unusual, I know, but is this the landscape now? Because we've got a game that's coming out of crowdfunding. It's completely crowdsourced. It doesn't have a publisher. It doesn't have a big, quote unquote, big money behind it, anything like that. And it almost feels like this almost feels like a shot at where it's coming from anyway. Like, I know he explicitly says that if you didn't actually support the game, I don't actually care about you. You're not part of my community. But I wonder if it actually is, like, if the community of crowdfunding and self-published journalism and game coverage and that kind of thing actually spawned the platform or spawned the environment that Divergence Online could actually exist, because it couldn't have 10 years ago, right? So I almost feel like this is kind of ironically kind of coming back and actually biting a little bit the hand that feeds it.
Well, actually not, because the people who are the hand that feeds them are the people who support their Kickstarter campaign or buy the game in early access. People who say, you know what, I will put up a favorable review if you give me the game for free. Mm-hmm. Those are not the people who are actually, they are. You could make a point and say, if the company was unethical, they would say, oh, we're so happy with all these people who want to do free PR for us if you just give them the game. That would have been one way of going for them. That's the way actually some publishers would go. He's actually, I don't know the guy. I don't know how genuine he is, but if I'm taking him on his word, he's basically saying, we want you to buy the game and play it and have fun. Review it if you want to and be ethical, but we're not going to give you the games just so you can give us free PR. And that's a good thing.
And don't get me wrong, I think it's indefensible to as a quote unquote journalist, or even if you're not going to call yourself a journalist, if you just want to call yourself a YouTuber or a guy playing games on YouTube, it's morally indefensible to say, I will just say good things about your game if you just give it to me for free. That's not cool. I'm not disputing that in any way. What I'm saying, though, is like there is a certain amount of economic reality to games marketing, and ultimately the voice of Divergence Online has to get out there somehow. And I mean, obviously we're doing that a little bit right now by talking about it, period, even though we're not talking about the game at all. Any press is good press, right? It's still that message still has to get out there, and very early in its life, as early as almost humanly possible in its life, it's already closing a whole bunch of those doors that other games are leaving open. So again, not defending the practice, but I'm wondering if this is an example of somebody who's found really solid moral ground to stand on, but shaky business ground to stand on.
Well, he doesn't say he doesn't want any reviews, and I'm pretty sure that if I work for several sites and magazines, and if I would get the assignment for a review and I would mail him and I say, hey, this and this site wants a review, and I'm the guy does it, I'm pretty sure his PR would be more than happy to send me a review copy, which is normal practice in the industry. If you review a game, it's 9 times out of 10 the reviews you read are the reviewers playing a copy that's provided by the publisher. That's not the thing. That's not the problem. And the thing is about trust. And I know you agree with me on this, but that's the main thing. The little guys who not little guys, the YouTubers and we are talking about people who have huge followings sometimes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people trust their opinion, often more than they trust, let's say, PC Gamer or IGN's opinion, because they feel they have a more personal relationship with the people who are doing those videos. So that's a trust issue. If you are not being honest about your opinion just to get your free stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, we already covered that. I'm just very curious about the game now. So I think on the PR front, he is making headlines with this quote. So I do think I would say well played, sir, because now I hadn't heard of Divergence Online until I read this. So I'm actually interested in the game, and I'm going to hit him up for a free review copy.
Oh, and that'll be interesting. Like I said, though, I think that the real fun could be at the end of it when he decides, screw it, I'm posting the list.
I want to see that list so bad. I want it would be delicious if there are a couple of big channels on that list
that you could actually rip quotable quotes from, and the Schadenfreude, the
I'm not against enthusiast press. I would love YouTubers and streamers and fan sites to be successful and make great things and have a great business model based on that and make money with that, as long as they're honest about what they're doing.
Ethics are so cheap. I know that some people think they're expensive because it's not a way to the quick buck, but man, it's so cheap to have good ethics. And in the long run, if you actually do stick, that's the kind of thing that people actually respect over the long term. Anyway, that's turning off my dad voice now.
We have consensus.
Yeah. We agree. Damn it.
Maybe it's time to praise one of our sponsors.
Exactly. I think we could agree on this. We do love Audible. Audible, if you're looking to throw a little support the MMO Reporter way, go check out Audible at audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter. For those of you that don't know, Audible is the premium source for audiobooks on the internet. And if you were to sign up for a trial code at audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter, then you will get not only a free audiobook for that first month membership that comes there, but access to an incredible number of books, tons of books. Actually, not tons, because it's all
tons. Yes,
it's all computer files, which don't weigh anything. But
energy is mass.
Tons.
Energy
virtual
is mass.
Tons.
So I would say tons.
There you go. Okay, tons it is. In addition to tons, head over to Doghouse for a big fat gaming rig if you're looking to get yourself upgraded to something that can actually run an Oculus Rift. Have we got a deal for you? Head over to Doghouse Systems, and whatever you purchase, throw the coupon code MMO Reporter on there, and you'll get another 120 gig SSD thrown in there to just add a little extra juice to your Oculus Rift gaming powerhouse. So check it out, doghousesystems.com. So, in the vein of MMO drama, we had a little bit of Guild Wars 2 drama actually this week. It's the best kind of Guild Wars 2 drama because, we've mentioned it several times. We've had stories like this on MMO Reporter, but the Guild Wars 2 support drama that happens when somebody gets banned and they get cranky, and then support comes up and says, well, actually, here's exactly what you did, and this is exactly why you're banned. Since you wanted to make a stink about it in public, we're going to refute you in public. So this has happened a few times, but now it's actually happened to a prominent YouTube channel. The YouTube channel Suck It Love is it's a channel that actually does original music kind of based on Guild Wars 2. So it's like music videos using Guild Wars 2 graphics and characters and that kind of thing, but original songs. So it was actually kind of a cool channel until they got themselves a 4,360 hour ban, because that just is a nice round number, for hacking. Now, one of the contributors to that Suck It Love channel posted a video saying how it was ridiculous that they got banned. They got caught in a blanket ban. ArenaNet doesn't know what they're doing. They're catching innocent people, blah, 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 blah. Well, ArenaNet support responded quite happily to say, well, actually, no, you got caught. The precise quote is, customer support has carefully reviewed the data and that resulted in the termination of the game account in question. They verified that this account accessed 29 map points in under 60 seconds. It is not possible to accomplish this without the use of a third-party program, the kind of program that is expressly forbidden by our user agreement and our rules of conduct. So, Cranky Video gets made private almost instantly on YouTube, and of course somebody backed it up because there's nothing ever getting deleted from the internet. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And yeah, like I was saying, kind of in the show notes, the only thing that would have made this more delicious is if it was a channel that was maybe an odious personality to begin with or something like that. Not there's a lot of those in Guild Wars 2, of course, but I actually liked the channel, so I'm disappointed that they actually got caught cheating and aren't going to be providing good content anymore. But still, I love it when somebody tries to call out Guild Wars 2 support for a improper ban and they get refuted. There's just something delicious about that. It doesn't seem like many game companies do that. They seem to keep that a little bit private, but that's the kind of thing that it feels so good. It inspires a little bit of confidence that, yeah, you know what, maybe ArenaNet's not doing everything I like at any given moment, but when they do catch a cheater, they sure know how to treat them.
Well, the thing is that this is a battle that they could have easily lost if they weren't outspoken about it, because this is basically a continuation of our previous discussion. There is you are kind of at the mercy of what big YouTube channels and big internet personalities think of your product. I mean, it has power. So if you are going to ban somebody who has a very loud voice, you better make damn sure you can back it up with proof, because otherwise you are the bad guy here, and you get in all kinds of discussions about, oh, they're just banning us for this and this. They are cheaters, and they have to show why. They don't have to show that for me. If they would ban me, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a little guy, but I'm not a big internet personality. They wouldn't have to go public and say, we banned Harry Hall because he just didn't. They would just say, shut up and take your ban. Right? Mm-hmm. They have to be public about this if it's a huge channel.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it does become a he said, she said, where she's not saying anything. So you don't win when it's just a he said. So anyway, it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's the actual. It's again, I love seeing ArenaNet jump in on that, and it's yet another reason. That should have been a reason when we were trying to defend it as the MMO Reporter Game of the Year for 2015 was how they respond to cheating events.
And that brings us to a couple of quick mentions. First up is Activision buys Major League Gaming, and for $46 million, they have bought the entire MLG gaming league. Esports is now owned, well, at least a big league is now owned by Activision Blizzard. And both Activision and Blizzard, who are one and the same company, have games that are huge in esports circles. So it kind of makes sense for them to own that. I don't know much. I still see esports as something that other people enjoy and not me.
Well, this is it's an interesting purchase because, I mean, MLG was actually a big deal 3-4 years ago when esports were kind of bursting onto the scene, and you were first starting to see like major StarCraft tournaments online, and starting to sell out stadiums and setting up deals with ESPN to show events and that kind of thing. It had a lot of buzz, and Major League Gaming in particular had a lot of momentum, and they just fell off a cliff. Like most of the purchase prices, I understand, the $46 million that's going towards Major League Gaming, most of that is actually going to be debt recovery on behalf of Blizzard. So most of that $46 million goes to pay off debts that MLG already had. So, but this is also getting production stuff for Blizzard to maybe enhance some of the esports broadcasting that they do, and they are going to still be running the events that they've already committed to. So if there's any MLG events that you were looking forward to, like for CSGO or anything like that, those are still going to happen. But yeah, it seems like a big fall. Like basically MLG started off big and then Twitch obliterated them.
Yeah, I wish I would have more to add on this, but people hate me for this. I just really don't care much about esports at all. I love gaming. I love games. I love playing competitively with my friends. But I just don't care about people doing it for a living in the pro leagues. I'm happy that they can. I'm happy people enjoy it. But I think it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And, well, it's obviously for Blizzard. So anyway, another one that I'm not sure is for me. Blade and Soul has a solid release date coming up on January 19th. We've mentioned it on the show before a few times. It's a Asian-ish MMO, very pretty graphics, very actiony combat, and looks like the same as 20 other games that have come out recently. So I could be wrong, but yeah, that's why it's in the quick mentions.
Yeah. Well, it looks pretty.
Yeah, it certainly is pretty.
And pretty. Well, Chris will love it for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
It has graphics.
Yeah, it has graphics. So Chris will be on it like a dirty shirt.
And finally, we have World of Tanks, a huge game on the PC and available on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and now coming to a PlayStation 4 near you. They have a beta weekend starting January 8th, running to the 10th, and that means that by the time you listen to this, it's already over.
But it's there. This is mainly more just a signal. Keep in mind, World of Tanks is coming back. It's going to be on all consoles. It'll be on Xbox, PS4, and PC.
And it's on mobile already.
Yeah. So it's out there. It's good.
Well, it's an acquired taste.
If you're listening to MMO Reporter and the only thing you have is a PS4 so that one person out there in that boat, now this story's for you.
Yeah, and then if that person also enjoys tank combat, that's a very narrow.
we found that when we
have one listener who's kind of
Steve.
Yeah,
Steve basically.
Yeah,
this one's for you, Steve.
Yeah, but World of Tanks is it's a game about tanks in a world. Mm-hmm. In a world.
Yeah. Of tanks.
In a world of tanks on the PlayStation 4.
Oh, there you go. And on that note, Harry, can you tell the wonderful people out there? Can you tell World of Tanks Steve on his PS4 how he can get a hold of us?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, you can see all the stuff we put up on our website, MMOReporter.com. Email us and contribute. We would like to read your email on the show, mmo.reporter@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/MMOReporter. Tweet at MMO_reporter or at Harry Hall or at MMOBill. Call us, but no obscene phone calls, please, not again. 616-666-6778. YouTube.com/MMO Reporter Network. Support us by going to either our Patreon page, patreon.com/MMO Reporter, or if you want to find out other ways of supporting us, MMOReporter.com/support.
There you go. Thank you very much. And you know what? If it is a dirty voicemail, that's fine. Chris is the one who has to listen to them all anyway. So anyway,
That's true.
That is true. This is a Chris problem. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you very much, Harry, for joining me in this first show of 2016. It's wonderful to hear from you again. I'm glad you're all attuned and chakras aligned and just ready to tackle what's going to be an amazing year.
We're going to have a great year on MMO Reporter. It was fun to be here again. Thank you, Bill.
All right. And thank you, Chris. Oh, wait, no, get well soon, Chris. For those of you that don't know, Chris had a little bit of a medical thing over the Christmas holidays. He is recovering and doing well, and we're hoping to see him back soon. So get well, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time, and we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your alts you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your alts you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.